Chapter 16. Greater Intimacy. Summer thinned into fall, then into nights that bit at our ears. I remembered, strangely, a sunny day on the river when I'd still felt like the newcomer among the poetry crowd. We'd gone canoeing with a few regulars. Will, who barely knew me, pointed toward us and said, almost to no one, "The girl in the canoe with Bruce." He named her in relation to me, but Lynn had been there long before I was. At readings she kept to the edges, listening, laughing softly, not angling for praise. She had an English degree like half the room, and yet she wasn't performing. It made me want her more. The quiet self-possession, the way she refused to audition for anyone. One November night we went to the beach in heavy coats. The sun had dropped. The surf was black glass with a white seam. We climbed the lifeguard stand and stood facing the wind. Sand ticked against the wood. I stepped behind her and wrapped my arms around her, my chin tucked in the wool at her collar. Heat rose in me, quick, undeniable. The old warnings tried to form words. Dirty, too far, don't. But the wind stripped them thin. Her hands rested over mine. We stayed that way, listening to the water devour the shore and give it back. I wanted to keep every second. When winter settled over Wilmington, something in me steadied. I found work in human services, supporting adults with developmental disabilities. It felt like the first right fit in a long time, as if my life had stopped scraping and started to catch. We spent most evenings at Lynn's place on Wrightsville Beach. My roommate Donna had sublet her extra room to Terry, so her apartment wasn't always quiet. Lynn's was easier. The only awkwardness was her stepfather, Bob, who flew for a major airline and landed at the house a week each month. He'd open the door without expression. "Coming in?" Then call Lynn and vanish into the living room. He didn't make conversation. I tried at first. The words slid off him like rain off a waxed coat. Should I try harder with him? I asked her once. "No," she said. "If he doesn't talk, you don't have to." That was Lynn. Firm lines, no apologies. No one was going to manage her or decide her value. I admired it. I wanted it for myself. She could tell when being around Bob tightened me up. So we'd drift to her room. It was our refuge, a narrow bed, a small lamp with a warm cone of light, a window that opened to salt and night air. Sometimes we talked until our voices went low and thin. Sometimes we kissed and forgot the clock. Desire built slowly, honestly. Nothing felt staged. When we kissed, it wasn't something I did to her or she to me. We met in the middle and moved together. The more we learned that rhythm, the less I could pretend that the old rules in my head had any wisdom to offer. I always watched her breathing. Cystic fibrosis sat in the edges of our days. Pills with meals, the persistent cough, the quiet way she managed her body. When I leaned over her, I braced on my forearms and asked, "Am I too heavy?" "No," she said, quick, then looped her arms around my back and drew me closer, as if the only danger was my pulling away. We didn't undress. That wasn't the point. My hand slipped under the hem of her shirt, rested at the warm small of her back, rose along the curve of her ribs. I moved carefully, listening for the catch of her breath. She shifted beneath me, not guiding so much as answering. Her movements invited me on, made it clear she wanted more of my touch. The hunger in me startled me, fierce and somehow calm. I cupped her breast through the bra, worried for a moment that my hand pressed too firmly. Awkward words stumbled out. I can't even remember what, but she answered with action. She sat up, slid her arms under her shirt, and with a quick motion unclasped her bra. The shirt stayed on. Then she lay back and pulled me toward her again. It wasn't hesitation, it was invitation. We continued where we'd been, mouths locked, my hand on the soft skin she had freed for me to touch. The choice was hers, and in that moment she made it clear that she wanted me there. At other times, away from that immediate heat, I would notice my body reacting, wetness marking the intensity of my desire. I knew from reading that this wasn't climax, but arousal, a body's simple response. Old Catholic voices tried to twist it into shame, but in the moment with Lynn, everything felt right. It was only later, alone in the bathroom, that I caught myself slipping back into secrecy, quick cleanup, as if hiding evidence. It wasn't that she expected me to. It was what I had been trained to do. Still, when I returned to her side, she looked at me the same way as always, steady, unashamed, as if nothing in me was broken. She never shamed me. The shame wasn't hers to give. It wasn't even mine, truly. It was something I'd been taught to carry. With Lynn, I could set it down for a while. We were discovering each other, honestly, at a pace that belonged to both of us. We were both virgins, but that fact felt like footnote, not headline. What mattered was the way closeness kept widening, hand to hand, breath to breath, trust to trust. December brought lights and a clean cold that sharpened the night. Donna and Terry insisted on taking pictures of us next to the tree at their place. They fussed with tinsel and told us to stand closer. The shutter snapped and something loosened in my chest. They were happy for us, for me. I didn't know how hungry I'd been for that until it was in front of me. We were an item. Still, there were formalities to discuss.